Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. So this is going to be the second video in a series of guides teaching you how to use V-Carve Pro from knowing absolutely nothing into being able to make your own projects and files on your own. So today we are going to be covering material setup, which is a vitally important part of creating a file that's going to run, work well, and hopefully not completely destroy your CNC machine. So I'm going to start fresh here on a new file, so you guys are going to see what I see now. Once you open a basic brand new V-Carve profile, this is what you guys are going to be seeing. It should automatically be set to 1010 half inch. All this should be the basic settings. So I'm just going to walk us through here. So the options of rotary, double-sided, and single-sided, I'm going to be honest, I'm covering single-sided only. I am a pretty basic level CNC user. I mean, I can do some stuff with it, but again, I do not mess too much with double-sided or rotary. So we are just going to be focusing on single-sided jobs today. Maybe if this video series goes on long enough, I'll do a guide on the double-sided. I have done a few of those, but that's far out. This is a beginner guide. So down here to your X, Y, and Z. So this is very, very important here. Again, you have your simple units here, your inches or millimeters. I live in America, so we are going to be using inches. But now talking about the job size and how do we set this up. This is basic and not basic. So we want to make sure that we set things properly. So this depends on the material that you are going to be using. So this is a piece of wood or a piece of metal. Obviously, getting the dimensions right here is important. I like to get within a 1/16 of an inch. Depending on what you are doing, you might want to get more detailed, but I like to go to a 1/16 of an inch. Now, for example, here, the material that I have is 10 inches by 20 inches with a thickness of 1 inch. But how do you know which unit to put in for the X, Y, and Z? So you are actually going to have to look at your machine for this option. So on most CNCs, they have it where the X tends to be the wider variable, and the Y tends to be the longer variable. And a way that I kind of like to remember this is, on the Y here, just kind of like a longer character, I guess. We have the stick. I don't know. You can remember it whatever way you want. But on your CNC, there should be some type of X, Y picture. It should be in the guide of which direction the X coordinate is in and which direction the Y coordinate is in. So matching these up, super, super important. So if I have 10 inches on X, we want to make sure that the 10 inches right here would be going the 10 inches. This is the X coordinate. For my Y, I want to make sure that this 20 is long like this. Now, if you misset it in your CNC, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's just going to end up cutting the program wrong. It will cut probably half of it going just the wrong direction. So save yourself some heartache and get this set up properly in the beginning. Now, Z0 position. Now, every single thing that I do, I use material surface for. Now, this is for setting a Z height. Obviously, we just set our thickness here. But the Z0 is basically telling the machine where it is going to start cutting. That you're basically telling the machine where the top of the material is. Make sure if you are cutting top down, you do not have machine bed. Otherwise, it is going to plow through your material and probably break something. So I always leave this set to material surface. Essentially here you're saying, hey, machine, the top of the material is where you should start cutting down. Now the XY datum, let's talk about this one a little bit here. So, so we can see that we have this red box on the bottom here. This is recognizing the XY datum. So this is your pretty much essentially your XY0 location. So you say, hey, machine, the XY0 is going to be set to the bottom left corner of this board. And then the CNC is going to say, okay, that is where I will direct myself from. Okay. So if I had the XY0 set here, it will recognize it and cut the board as it should. You can use whatever position you want. So if I want to say, hey, I want the CNC to recognize the top left corners, the XY0, and cut down this way, you are free to do that. Now, obviously, we can do this with any corner. I usually try to tell people not to use the center for an XY datum. Bottom left is by far the most popular. But when we are doing it in the center, one thing I always try to tell people is do a quick drawing. Draw corner to corner, corner to corner. Make sure you get that center position perfect because it's going to be cutting directly from there. So normally I like to go down to this bottom left corner, and that tends to be the easiest. Now, again, it is recognizing this as its starting location. You're saying, hey, CNC, this is the XY0. Your CNC is set to the XY0. It is expecting whatever material you're using for, in this case, the Y to go perfectly straight 20 inches and the X to go perfectly to the right 10 inches. Now, if for whatever reason you set your board in your machine or your material or whatever you're using and it is slightly off, so let's say your board is shifted to the right a little bit, it still thinks it's cutting this way. So lining things up is very important. Even if your machine might be doing something like this, always need to make sure that the board is properly lined up to do this. Now, looking at the use offset. So let's say you have the XY0 or the XY0 position on your CNC set to the bottom left corner, but you want to use an offset. Now, offsets are super nice because you can use framing devices to help frame this board. That's something that I do. I like to set an offset. Basically, you're saying, okay, the XY0 is set here, but when you go to start cutting your material, you're recognizing that right here is going to be the XY0 actually. So something that I like to do on my machine, and you will have to customize your machine for this, I like to set a 3-inch offset when I do this because that allows me, if your machine has pins that you can pop up, normally I like to pop up those pins, and then I have a big L that I've created that sets in those pins, and it's exactly 3 inches by 3 inches. I can set it there, and it kind of keeps the machine from cutting away from the exact corner. It makes for easy setup, and I will get some videos of doing this just with the actual machine, but I figured I would at least touch on it now. If you guys are starting basic, I would highly recommend either starting a bottom left quadrant here or center quadrant. If it's your first CNC cut ever, I would recommend drawing an X on your material, setting your XY0 to the center of your material, and using the center placement just because it kind of helps you get a scope of how XY0ing works. Down here, modeling resolution. I don't really mess with these guys or appearance. Usually I know what I'm working with. Their modeling is great, but I don't mess with it too much there. So you're going to go ahead, hit OK, and congratulations, you have your material set up. So whatever you create on here, the machine will cut from this center position. So I hope I have explained this well enough today. It's kind of a funky process to go through, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave them on the comments under this video. Thank you for spending the time to learn this with me today, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.